dreams left. Looking for the right time, but the right time never comes. God against his my trigger now he's dead.
Did you know that more than 25 of the biggest names in heavy metal and related heavy music not only broke down musical limits, but also changed who they were? From frontmen who ruled stadiums to underground pioneers, these musicians made a genre based on rebellion deal with one of its major problems: acceptance. Here are 25 heavy music icons whose personal truths challenged the culture of metal, punk, and hard rock without changing the one thing that mattered most: their music. Eins, Rob Halford, Judas Priest.
Look at me, I'm chasing after dreams left.
One of the most important heavy metal singers of all time is Rob Halford. As the lead singer of Judas Priest, which was created in 1969, he helped shape the sound and look of the genre with his booming voice, leather style, and commanding stage presence. Halford came out as gay in public during an MTV interview in 1998. At that time, heavy metal culture was still very much linked to hypermasculine images, and people didn't talk about sex openly very much. Fans mostly supported the response, even though there were worries about blowback. He had already built up a strong reputation as a singer over the years by performing and recording. His announcement made many in the metal community talk more about identity, masculinity, and being real. It went against long-held beliefs in the society that one of the genre's most famous figures could be openly gay. 2. Doug Pinnick, King's X.
Looking for the right time, but the right time never comes.
Doug Pinnick, who played bass and sang for King's X, became noted for his unique voice and style that mixed strong riffs with melodic depth. In 1998, the same year Halford did, he came out as gay, but Pinnick had a more mixed reaction. Some fans stopped following the band, which showed how different metal's rebellious image is from how popular it really is. Even nevertheless, Pinnick kept making music, which showed that he was still true to his profession. His career showed that being a good musician and being real is more important than what people think over time. 3. Gaahl, Gorgoroth, Wardruna. Gaahl came from the Norwegian black metal movement, which is recognized for being quite extreme and having strict ideological lines. He was a well-known character in the genre as the lead singer for Gorgoroth and then for Wardruna. He came out as gay in public in 2008. Some people in the black metal scene didn't believe it, while others were critical. The subculture, which is typically linked to anti-mainstream ideas, indicated that people didn't want to be this honest about themselves. Gaahl kept making music without changing his artistic orientation, which supports the premise that identification doesn't make things less intense or real. 4. Paul Masvidal and Sean Reinert, Cynic, Death. Paul Masvidal and Sean Reinert helped shape progressive and technical death metal by playing in the bands Cynic and Death. In 2014, both of them came out as gay. They made their declaration after decades of being important in the genre, during which time they had kept their personal lives private. Their choice brought attention to the fact that there have never been any openly LGBTQ+ people in technical metal, even though the genre is known for being intellectual and experimental. Their artistic legacy stayed the same, but their exposure transformed the way people talked about the industry. 5. Roddy Bottum, Faith No More. Roddy Bottum, the keyboardist for Faith No More, came out as gay in 1993, which was a long time before these kinds of talks became more popular in heavy music. At the time, the industry didn't say anything about LGBTQ+ issues. Some fans were upset, but the band kept getting more popular, which shows that for many listeners, creative innovation was more important than personal bias. Bottom's openness was one of the first times that alternative metal became more visible. Number 6. Otep Shamaya, Otep Shamaya, who started the band Otep, is noted for mixing metal with spoken word and political topics. She is openly gay and has always talked about questions of identity, power, and injustice in her art. Her presence in the genre challenged not only sexual standards, but also what people expected from lyrics and activism. Her approach has gotten mixed reviews, yet she still has a big impact on politically aware metal. Set. Mina Caputo, Life of Agony. Mina Caputo, who used to be known as Keith Caputo, was the lead singer of Life of Agony when the band was popular in the 1990s. She came out as transsexual in 2011. Fans had different reactions to the announcement, which shows that there are still issues in heavy music circles about gender identity. Caputo kept performing and recording, and her work still had the same emotional depth that it did before. Her shift is one of the most well-known examples of gender identity in metal. 8. Lzzy Hale, Halestorm. Lzzy Hale, the lead singer of Halestorm, has talked openly about being bisexual. Her role in modern hard rock and metal goes against what people anticipate of men and women in the industry. She has exploited her fame to promote self-expression while still being successful in business and with critics. Her presence shows that identification doesn't limit how popular something can be with the general public. Divot. Brian Molko, Placebo. Brian Molko, the lead singer of Placebo, has always written songs about identity and sexuality. He was openly bisexual and became noted for his androgynous look and lyrics that explored being different. His impact reached into the alternative and heavier music genres, especially among artists who write about emotional and identity-driven topics. 10. Freddie Mercury, Queen. Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen, is still one of the most famous musicians in history. He never officially said what his sexuality was, but his relationships and personality made it seem like he was bisexual. He died in 1991 from AIDS-related problems, which brought attention to the disease and the stigma that surrounds it around the world. His impact still affects artists in all genres, even hard music. 11. David Bowie. David Bowie was bisexual and used his music and image to challenge traditional ideas about gender. His theatrical style and willingness to try new things had an effect on both rock music and some aspects of heavy metal performance and style. His desire to go against what people thought changed the way musicians saw themselves. 12. Janis Joplin. Despite the fact that she never publicly declared her sexual orientation, Janis Joplin admitted to having relationships with both men and women. The emotionally raw manner of her singing has been an inspiration to several generations of rock and metal performers, a reflection of the complications of fame, identity, and acceptance was reflected in her life. 13. Billie Joe Armstrong, Green Day. In the year 1995, Billie Joe Armstrong revealed that he was bisexual. Despite the fact that Green Day is predominantly a punk band, they have had a significant impact on alternative and heavy guitar music. Over the course of the 1990s, his openness was a factor that led to the increased prominence among rock communities. 14. Steve Brooks, Torche. Torche's Steve Brooks revealed his sexual orientation at an early stage in his career. Although he was a member of the sludge and stoner metal subgenres, his presence challenged preconceived notions about masculinity in harder music. It was his music that he continued to concentrate on, and he let his work to determine his reputation. Kinds. Freddy Cricien, Madball. Freddy Cricien, the frontman for Madball, is known for his involvement in the crossover and hardcore punk movements simultaneously. In a milieu that was traditionally hyper-masculine and hardcore, his identification was a dilemma. His sustained influence is evidence of the steady growth of acceptability that has taken place inside that scene. 16. Mike Patton, Faith No More, Mr. Bungle. The concept of attraction that goes beyond conventional classifications has been openly discussed by Mike Patton. Through his music and his identity, he has persistently refused to be categorized, despite the fact that he is well known for his diversity. Throughout his career, he has demonstrated that artistic freedom encompasses more than just music. Disset, Jónsi, Sigur Rós. As the frontman for Sigur Rós, Jónsi is not ashamed to be gay. His ambient approach has had an impact on post-metal and experimental heavy music, despite the fact that he is not one of the metal artists. When it comes to his writing, emotional depth is prioritized over genre limits. 18. Troy Sanders, Mastodon. Troy Sanders has voiced his support for communities that identify as LGBTQ+. His position contributes to a more inclusive image within progressive metal, despite the fact that he does not officially define his own sexuality. 19. Bob Mould, Husker Du, Sugar. The decade of the 1990s saw Bob Mould come out as gay. The heavier genres were influenced by his work in punk and alternative rock, particularly through the use of forceful guitar approaches and musical compositions that were emotionally charged. In the earlier decades of rock music, his work brought to light the difficulties associated with being openly gay. 20. J.D. Samson. In the realm of rock and electronic-influenced music, J.D. Samson, a musician who does not identify with any gender, has challenged gender conventions. The existence of these individuals is indicative of greater developments in identity representation across heavy music genres than was previously thought. 21. Laura Jane Grace. Against Me? In 2012, Laura Jane Grace revealed that she was a transgender person. She is the frontwoman of the band Against Me, and her music combines the energy of punk with topics that are very personal. When she became visible, it was a momentous occasion for the representation of gender identity in alternative and heavy music. 22. Daniel Liljekvist, Katatonia. As a former drummer for Katatonia, Daniel Liljekvist made a significant contribution to the band's melodic and emotionally charged sound. Although he does not provide any information about his personal life, his advocacy for the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals is in line with the developing culture of progressive and gloomy metal. Treyogtuv, Brian Slagel, Metal Blade Records. There is no doubt that Brian Slagel, the founder of Metal Blade Records, was a significant contributor to the expansion of heavy metal's global reach. The fact that he is so supportive of various artists is evidence that inclusiveness is not limited to entertainers, but also includes industry executives. 24. Patrick Wolf. Patrick Wolf, an artist who is out and proud of his sexual orientation, combines several musical styles in a way that strikes a chord with fans of music that is atmospheric and emotionally strong, especially that of the metal community. His body of work challenges conventional conceptions of genre. 25. Pete Shelley, Buzzcocks. During the 1970s, Pete Shelley, the vocalist for the band Buzzcocks, was openly heterosexual and bisexual. His work in punk had a direct impact on the development of metal and hardcore music. Due to the fact that he was open during a period in which such conversations were uncommon, his influence was not only musical, but also cultural. Heavy metal has always defined itself as a genre of rebellion, individuality, and resistance to norms. Yet the stories of these 25 artists reveal a deeper reality. Even within rebellion, there were boundaries. What changed over time wasn't the music, it was the willingness to confront those boundaries. These musicians didn't alter their sound, skill, or impact. They simply chose honesty. And in doing so, they proved something the genre had always claimed. Metal belongs to anyone bold enough to stand their ground.